Step number 4, turning within. Turning within. And this is the part in the program where we get a little mystical here. So I'm going to put on my, just for effect, I'm going to put on my goddess mystical robe here, right? And what I want to say about turning within is that it's absolutely essential to being able to get to the truth of who you are, to being able to answer those questions. And this is where we are getting past our own BS, right? We're telling ourselves the truth about things, and that can be really painful because a lot of times we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to look at the things that we're doing that cause pain to other people or to ourselves. But it's really important. This is the message that I want to convey about opening up to these 7 steps. That when you make a commitment to a spiritual path, it's not like the New Agers would have us believe that it's all love and light and unicorns and rainbows and fairy tales, rainbow bright. No, it's the light and the dark. The dark is necessary to see the light. That's the paradox, right? And then there's the shadow too, but that's the discussion for another day. But be comfortable with your shadow side. Get to know it. Get familiar with it. And that's how you reach a point of forgiveness with yourself and with others. When you start to turn within and you start to look at your issues, you know where forgiveness needs to occur. And so do it. A Course in Miracles would teach us today's the day. Like no other day, today's the day to forgive. So if there's someone you need to forgive, forgive them. If there's someone that's harmed you, forgive them also. I'd like to quote a few other very eloquent poets when talking about this concept, because it's a big concept. The poet Yeats said this: "I must lie down where all the ladders start, in the foul rag and bone shop of my heart." And Rilke, one of my favorite poets of all times, talks about the darkness as well. He says, "The darkness holds it all, the shape and the flame, the animal and myself." The darkness holds it all, the shape and the flame, the animal and myself. So it's about getting to the bottom of things. It's about being able to transcend your pain, transcend your suffering. And bear in mind that when you make this commitment to live deeply, that everything happens to you. Not just the great stuff, but everything happens to you. As a matter of fact, sometimes it becomes even more intense. And that's the part of my personal story that I wanted to share with you, of what's happened to me since I announced to the world that I'm publishing this book. Everything matters, nothing matters. And God said, we're going to up the ante on her. She's saying nothing matters? Okay, try this, try this. And so the very quick version of what's happened to me, I'm going to take this off now because I'm revealing more of myself. As I was preparing the book manuscript for the publisher, I discovered something that was going on with my 19-year marriage. And I confronted my husband about it and asked for the truth. And he kept saying, no, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. This went on for 6 months. And 2 months before book launch, things came to blows, I guess you could say, where I had so much material world evidence of what was happening that I confronted him and said, okay, I need the truth here. And of course, that didn't go over very well with him. And very shortly after that, he moved out. My book was launched. I went on book tour. And I came back home to discover that he had sued me for custody of my children, turned the story around, and reneged what he had told me, that he was absolutely not having an affair. This was not what was happening, even though he had already admitted it to me and a counselor. He had done various things with our finances, including draining our kids' college accounts and selling off our car. And the list goes on of things that happened this past year. In the midst of it, I saw the beauty of it. I saw the divine essence of it, right? Because I knew myself, and I knew my truest intention was to be free to be who I am, to be able to do things like this, to get up in front of people and speak my truth about what I know, what I've learned, and to serve my purpose. And I happened to be married to someone who was very controlling and critical of me. And I knew in my heart of hearts that I couldn't be who I was and stay in this relationship. So the other woman was a blessing, right? And I decided, I'm going to live my philosophy here. I have no choice. I've put this out to the world. So I talk in Everything Matters, Nothing Matters about, it's not what happens to us in life. It's really not. It's our response to it, and it's who we are going through it. And so I decided right up front, the first day that I sat down and talked with him, I decided, how do I want to be in this situation? Who do I want to be? I don't want to be this bitter victim, lashing out, angry person. No. I really don't want to be like that for myself. And so within a couple minutes of confronting him, I told him I forgave him. And he started to immediately criticize this woman who I didn't know who she was, never met her. I'm sure she's a lovely person. I'll never know. Yeah. He started to criticize her, and I said, wait a minute. You should bless her. You should bless her because she brought you to this precipice. And the key thing is, what are you going to do about it? You're at this precipice now. So I didn't condone what he did. I forgave him, but I didn't condone it. I gave him some parameters that he had to do to rebuild my trust. And very soon I found out that he wasn't up for fulfilling those parameters. And so, again, I kicked into intention setting mode when I realized what was to come. And what happened? This is where I go back to that you can intend for other people to come into your life. The miracles started to occur because my intention was pure. I was not going to be a biatch during this process. I was going to be a role model for my kids of how to be. That was the most important thing for me. And the first thing I needed was a good attorney. Found her right away. Unbelievable story. Next, I found an accountant. Found her right away. Unbelievable story. Next, I needed a real estate appraiser. Found him right away. As a matter of fact, it was someone that I knew from 20 years ago. I sat on a board of directors with him, and it's like, there he reappeared. There he is. And this is how the year has gone, because I'm employing these principles, and they really work. It even happened this past summer when I wanted to take my kids on a great vacation, and I thought, how am I going to do it? We wanted to go on what we called our Summer of Love tour of California. We wanted to drive down the coast of California. And we ended up going. It was 2 moms and 9 young adults. And we traveled from San Francisco to San Diego. And that was my intention. Back after Christmas, I started setting this intention. So what happened? I ended up getting a tax refund instead of owing tax, which was a small miracle in itself. And then right on the heels of that, I got an assignment to interview Troy Polamalu in California, where he was training. And oh, guess what? They wanted me to interview him the same week that I was going to be out there with my kids. And that turned into a cover story, which was lucrative, and it basically paid for the trip.